Recording in progress.
6 o'clock, September 19th, with call to order the meeting of the Parks and Rec Committee.
Committee member Jennifer Bonte.
Here.
Committee member Sarah Borkart.
Here.
Committee member Jed Henry.
Here.
Trustee Cody Bratton.
Here. Open it up to public comment. You guys have anything?
Public here.
We have a formal report, which started seeking people for a swim pool committee. I don't know if you guys have anyone that you know that would want to be on it. We kind of talked about what we wanted as far as people and numbers. We didn't really set anything in stone, correct?
And it's on the agenda tonight, so we can talk about it again.
That's all I have.
You can make your comment at this point about what you're.
Okay, I did have a neighbor on the way here who wanted to be pets on things with football courts. Also, I've been noticing that people have football courts. So, and then also having that basketball court space. And I think now that we have the pickleball courts, it's drawing more people over there, so they're remembering all the things that they're pets.
Both of them for today. They're both going to kind of give you some info here from the summer. So we will. Whoops. Shift through some music.
I know. Sorry about it. It's not that.
No, that's great. You did great.
Yeah, so we're gonna just put together a little overview of our summer and just a quick little thing of everything that we kind of did, and just like our plans moving forward type of thing, just to get the conversation started. So next slide.
No, there's not that many of them. Yeah, so first of all, we have a kind of a recap of our full day summer camp. It started June 13th through August 6th. Our only day off was the 4th of July. It ran Monday through Friday, 7:30 to 5 p.m. And we had a total number of 41 participants throughout the whole summer. So that's what we have 5 dayers and 3 dayers, but total of 41 throughout the summer. Some positives from this past summer, we had more community involvement. We'll talk about this kind of on the next slide too, but more involvement with like the police department, EMS, fire and stuff like that. We have, yeah, the seniors just try to be more involved with the community. We had some great older participants. What I mean by that is kind of, we used to do a CIT, a counselor and training program, kind of nixed that just because we didn't think we could do it. We were doing it justice. You know, it takes more effort, and you know, we just didn't have the manpower to do that. So we kind of nixed that, but then we had some of our older campers step up and, you know, self-proclaim themselves as CITs, you know, because they've been with us and they kind of know what that means and stuff. So it was amazing having them, even if it's just like, you know, our printers downstairs, like, did you run downstairs and grab something off the printer? You know, just having them there and willing to help us, it was huge. This summer we ended summer camp at 5 versus 6. It was 6 the previous summer. Ending at 5 was huge. I think more so mentally than anything, but we also just didn't have the staff to work until 6 with sports and different things happening. So I think mentally that was huge for us. And we didn't have any pushback about the 5 o'clock spend time, everyone's, great about it. So I would love to keep that going. We hired a bathroom cleaner to come once a week to clean our bathrooms, which was amazing as well. She does a great job and just, keeping up with bathrooms throughout the summer. Like we said, we have anywhere from 20 to 30 kids every day, and washing your hands for snack and lunch and all that stuff. And it's nice to have someone to help out with that.
And only 2 toilets. And 2
Yeah,
sinks.
right. Yeah, so she's been amazing. Some struggles that we faced this summer was that we had lots of one-on-one participants. We had a little girl with Down syndrome, some with autism, ADHD, stuff like that. So just more one-on-one, and especially with us not having the amount of staff that we would like. We had great staff and everything. It's just, and like, I don't have the background in that and don't have like the experience dealing with, that kind of stuff. So it was a bit of a challenge. And just one of our kids was not fully potty trained. So helping with that was just obviously something I don't have the background in either. So, a bit of a struggle with that. And just, in general, kids going into kindergarten, usually taking naps and stuff like that, and dealing with like, they're getting fatigued by the end of the day, which, kind of throws off their behavior too. So that was a bit of a struggle. Transportation to other programs. Like I said, we were a bit short-staffed. So taking, 1 or 2 kids to the Legion in the middle of the day to a program, and then if it's a half-hour, 45-minute program, just figuring out what's best. If that staff member stays there with those 2 kids, even though, they're kind of in the care of somebody else. No, okay. No, it can happen. But so just transporting and just trying to kind of justify that too. Because, we walk everywhere. So just trying to justify that. And I don't know if going forward, we set like a limit, like we will transport as long as a certain X amount of kids in that program or whatnot. Like I said, we did have really great staff. But again, they're young. This is usually their first job. So it's kind of a struggle, like you want to give them the time of day to like teach them these lessons and stuff too, but summers just get very chaotic. So
it's almost like a training camp for high schoolers almost.
Yeah.
But I mean, they'll totally stick with us with them being so young. And they've all been so great, hopefully they will stay with us as they get older. So hopefully it's just a 1 year, we're kind of in the clear, but
yeah,
we'll see.
learning that, yeah, and just like learning that, like, even if you can't make it, like, you have to let us know, or like cover your shift, like I just sometimes feel like I'm just repeating myself constantly, but like it is their duty to cover their shift. Sometimes it's just doesn't really fit. So it can be a struggle. Illnesses, obviously, with the environment that we're in, illnesses go by fast. Tends to hit me big in the summer. Andrea had an illness this summer too, so just trying to cover each other. We don't have like another lead, per se between us two. So one of us is there at all times and just trying to figure out, navigate those illnesses. Obviously it's nothing we can really control, so just trying to figure out the best way to navigate those times. Air conditioning was a bit of a struggle. We did talk about that with Paulette. Just one of them doesn't work. It was fine. It's usually fine in the beginning of the day, and then by the end of the day, we're all just like, everything's wet. So I know she had talked to someone to coming out to fix it. So hopefully that's just something fixable, and we can get that fixed for next summer.
Just kind of all goes along with like building maintenance. Like,
yeah,
we kind of like didn't realize either like being over there, we'd have a lot more to take on with like building maintenance and like when the toilets get clogged and when there's an overflow in the drain or when the doors get locked, as you see in the picture, we have two people lock themselves in our reading room and I have to like use a screwdriver to get them out, and
It wasn't even a lot.
it wasn't even like, yeah, even black water. And then like, you know, we have outlets that are just, there's holes in our walls, and it's just a lot of building maintenance that we didn't really realize that we'd also be taking on, so. Just kind of like figuring that all out has been fun.
I'm a very independent woman, so.
Yeah.
I don't know
So
if
we
it's
like to
fun,
figure
but-
out our problems. So we're really
Yeah.
keep me on it.
So as I kind of touched base in our last slide about the community involvement, we had Cross Plains EMS come to us. The kids loved it. Obviously, some got put on stretchers, and that's very cool. We went to the fire station and got a tour of the fire station, which again, I mean, who doesn't love that? They loved that. Got to run around. We were playing their own games and everything. And I think if we could go there once a week, they would love it. Chief Tony came out and gave us a little presentation about the police department, and the seniors sat outside and kind of got to listen in on that too. And you could tell they had a lot of fun with that too. And got involved and asked questions. It's so fun to just see like our kids and the seniors together. They're, you know, they are kind of similar in certain ways. Yeah. It's really cute. We had Haven's Petting Zoo come to us. We went to them last year, which was really cool, but thought it would be fun for the seniors to get involved too. So Haven's Petting Zoo came to us this year.
It was a huge hit.
Yeah.
The guy, she was there, she was sick that weekend. But the guy who brought the animals out and did it, he said like, you know, he loves how close we are, and he'd love to do more. And we thought, like, we talked with Mike about opening it up to the community, and like, you know, people would pass by and we'd invite them over, and people came over from the park and everything like that. But we weren't really sure how it was going to go down, so we didn't want to like put it out to the community before we kind of figured it out. So next year, I mean, maybe we can even do something here in the fall with like a day off of school, and we invite the community out to Havens too, because it was awesome. They just set up this corral of just like animals, and then they let all the kids just like play with the ducks and the rabbits and hold them, and it was cool. It was awesome. Yeah.
Wait, what?
Yeah, and when I walked up to you and I asked you if it's funny, I said, what?
Yeah.
And I did. That's great. That's the picture that should have been highlighted.
Yeah, they've been enjoying to work with last year and this year. You can tell they're just really passionate about what they do too, which is awesome. We also went to the UW Geology Museum. That was our first time going there. We did a self-guided tour. It was cool. It's about as big as this room. Yeah, and we had never been. So I think maybe that would be our next thing too, is to driving spaces before we drinking. Yeah, it was cool. They did like it. Just, you know, to feel it out before we go.
We only went for an hour.
Yeah. Yeah, a couple hours, and that was it, yeah. We went to Circus World, which is one of ours that we go to every year. We love it, the kids love it. We usually go at the end of August, which I think we would do again. This year we went June, I think it was our first field trip. And they were just very busy, which we still had fun and everything. I think our group would like it more when it's not as busy. So we go probably again next August. And then the Mississippi River Museum brought in stingrays through the library. We didn't do that, but we attended. And the kids loved that too. It was a really cool presentation. There was a lot of people there, and each kid got to have the stingray. So that was really cool. I mean, I really enjoyed that one too.
Yeah,
it was really cool.
Well, and even that group coming to us, I mean, I've been there. It's a big day was, so
Right.
like an hour and a half away.
Yeah.
Right.
It was great facility. So
Yeah.
they can come and show like families, like, here's where you can go on a drive.
For sure, yeah.
That's fun. So that's awesome.
Yeah, that was really cool. I love that. Yeah, so those were our fun field trips of the summer.
Yeah, and then all the other programs we ran this summer, we had some great participation this summer. Some really great feedback from parents, I think. And then we had Mr. Jarrett, or Jared Peterson, Mr. Peterson from Park School. He came and helped us this summer and ran tennis and the alternate person sports and did the first session of archery. And he was awesome. And he said he loved it and he would definitely choose this over summer school any day. So he'll be coming back next summer.
The kids loved him.
The kids loved him.
Right.
Yes, yeah, and I
Yeah,
wasn't
they're all
sure,
different.
yeah, for sure, yeah, and I wasn't sure.
He was kind of a late hire.
Yeah, when we put the guide out, I wasn't sure yet, I was still like, we were kind of sweet talking there when we
Yeah.
go to volunteer at Park School, you know, and then he finally came on, so then I was like telling all of it, because I knew it was like, sign up for this, Mr. Peterson was doing it. So it was great, he was awesome, we had the Madison Radicals come out, they were great, Christy Frederickson's husband Eric Frederickson does our intro to karate and he is awesome. He volunteers and does it every year. He's so great with the kids. The kids love it. He loves to do it. So that program has been a big hit. So that's been cool. He's been helping us out with that. We had a staff member, Jake Leslie, who was awesome with our rec programs. He was kind of like Mr. Peterson's like right-hand man for rec programs. And he kind of, you know, helped me run all the other ones. And he was great too. And then engineering for kids came out, and they ran a cooking class and they're coming back and doing another cooking class after school, because they liked it so much here. So yeah, so it was, we had a jam-packed summer, spies and CSIs and nature's and explorers, doctors, skills and drills we ran ourselves, food and conditioning, messy science, natural was a huge hit again, of course.
What's the number?
Oh, that's the number of
Participants.
participants.
Okay, that's it.
Yeah. So, yeah. So the next one. The pool, I just kind of put some stuff on there that we did, some swim lessons, junior lifeguards, if you don't know about it. I started a few years ago, it just gets people more aware of the pool and working there, and they get to do the fun things, and it's a really popular program. The Fin Fun Mermaid has started last summer, that's also a very popular program. Your daughter was in it, Tara.
Yeah.
You like
Oh,
it?
I love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, so, I know, it looks so cool, it looks awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
Swim lessons were a big hit, you know, we bring our camp kids there, that's a big perk, for our camp kids and, you know, we always get great feedback from swim lessons with kids just enjoying it, and our staff is really great too. I think we had a pretty good cool staff this summer, and we had our struggles, but, you know, as we always do, but we had great lessons as always, and, yeah, a lot of fun times. As you can see, the operating hours, the grind never stops. So if you want to click on that fall winter, yeah, you can click on it. So that just brings up the guide.
If you've seen it or haven't seen it yet.
If you haven't seen it yet, the fall winter guide, and just kind of the new programs we're offering. I've been in contact with Yale, which is Youth Enrichment League, and so they are going to be, we're working together to offer coding for kids after school, brick building after school, truss after school, fencing, and then pre-K sports, and we're hoping for things like, so some of these classes start like directly after Park Kids out, so we're hoping that kids can go, you know, straight to those and give them a little something to do, and it's different, it's coding, which I think is huge, it's very popular, here. So we thought we'd offer it. So yeah, so we have some new stuff like that we're trying out, and then we're offering basketball again, the typical grade levels, and then we are looking for a site supervisor to help us out with basketball. So if you know anyone that's interested in Saturday mornings, looking for an adult figure to kind of like maintain just the, you know, make sure the refs are where they need to go and everybody knows which gym they're going to be. So if you know anybody looking for something on a Saturday, shoot them our way. We're also looking for
The PRC help, after school club, as of now, it's just Andrea and I that are able to be there to get kids off the bus. So if one of us is sick or, has to go somewhere, we would love someone that could be there at 2:30, on various days.
we'd love to be able to use our vacation days.
Yeah, and just not panic when we're sick. So, do you know of anyone that might be interested in that? Please send them our way.
Yeah, so that's kind of what we're hiring. I mean, that just reminded me of it. And then, some other wants and needs, we'd love to look into some leadership trainings and stuff to kind of help us guide our younger staff and our new staff and figure out good ways that we can motivate them and talk to them and keep them around and that kind of stuff. We can always learn. So we're definitely always interested in that. And just some, obviously, like I said, building maintenance. We got some quotes to paint. And then, the flooring is old. We want new flooring and functioning. Yeah.
We eat in our big room a lot, which is prohibited. So we shampoo the carpets once a year, which is obviously not enough. There's kids around eating, so maybe some kind of different flooring that would be better for that.
And maybe, it's always good to kind of talk about extra security for the building and there's a thrift store, so anybody can come in to the building. The doors aren't all unlocked. There really isn't anything stopping anybody from coming upstairs. So just something to always keep in mind about, something security wise. I don't know. Yeah. The ultimate goal is our own building, but that's the future ultimate goal. So that's kind of our summer overview and what we're going towards for fall, winter. So if anybody has any questions, we're here.
So how do you start, because all of these items kind of fall under like resource capacity, when I start looking at some of the wants and the needs that the camp needs. And so how do you tackle that? I mean, are there spreadsheets, things like how are you identifying trends, patterns, tracking? This program has declining enrollment, so maybe we go on for this program to alleviate some of the walking school bus opportunities or options. I mean, I know I'm asking you, maybe something you don't have the answers to yet, but there definitely seems to me that there's going to be some evaluation that needs to happen.
Yeah, I feel like we do.
So normally we'll all meet. I wanted them to come and give you their summer because from my standpoint, the girls did a phenomenal job. Like with the full day camp. I mean, when Andrea came to me and said we need to do this program, I was like, are you crazy? Like, why would we take on a full day of kids, right? Like there are teachers that don't want to do that, right? And there are, I'm just saying and that's the career, where they go. And my biggest thing for that was to not lose out on what we had offered before with the camps and all the things that we offered. Dance, being able to make sure that we're not taking up time or resources or money that we need in those current programs. And they did a phenomenal job taking that on. So I wanted to make sure that they heard that obviously from me here. I know we talked about it, but they don't listen to the recordings, I'm sure. So obviously great job in the summer. And it's literally, and I think everyone always says this with Park and Rec in general, but it's organized chaos all summer long. And you're getting a call to go to the pool, or you're having an issue with a staff member, or staff members don't show up, or a kid is sick, or you get hand-mouthed from one of the kids, and then you're like, what do I do next? Or you get COVID. It's one thing or another, and they handled it very well. I literally was able to sit back and do my job at trying to make things better, but not necessarily for them because they were literally flying all over the place. So I wanted to obviously recognize that and have them come and show you what they took on for the summer. And then, as far as wants and needs, obviously it's great for you to all hear about it. You can advocate for it as we come forward, providing there's budgeting opportunities to do so. I think what we are going to really focus on now is is cost recovery. So if after school is as important as it is, and we have, full day camp, and we have 40 kids throughout the summer, now we need to start making sure that it's covering costs of the program, of our staff, to recoup some of these things. So right now we don't pay any rent at all to Northwest Dane Senior Services. So my job, I feel, and goal as at the end of this year is we made, let's just say, $30,000 more than we had projected for the beginning of the summer, in which 90% of that is probably because of full day camp or after school. We need to take that money and put it back into the program, whether that be with staffing, whether that be with HVAC, or whatever it is that Paulette needs. Because my biggest thing with Paulette is that she should not be covering the extra costs that we are contributing to, whether that be air conditioning going out. I mean, there's all these things which we have an agreement, but it's very minimal. And I feel like I've been talking to her saying we need something more set in stone. If one of us were to leave, what happens, right? Like, no one knows. They just know that they get to go there and, work for the day. But if Paulette's not there or something would happen,
Yeah, we don't know if he's ever just gonna be like, well, we need this.
Right. And that's the
like,
other
if they
thing.
expand on
And that's the other
Yeah.
thing. So it's almost like as we move forward with where we're at functionally and how things are moving and what, I've heard of like after school or full day camp going all the way up to $400 per participant per week, right? Well, ours is $240. So, or 240, 220. Yeah, I'm sorry. So, it's more of that. Like when we first started the program, I was dead set on us making sure we weren't charging more or less than the in-house daycares or the few daycares, the couple that we had left. I didn't want to charge more of them. I definitely did not want to charge less to undercut them. So we called around, Andrea called around, and like we got numbers from them, and that's pretty much what we've done and stayed to. But when you're getting 40 kids, now you're talking 3 times the staff that we were really planning to hire for the summer.
And
right?
I mean, these
and,
aren't just 40 kids that can wash themselves.
Right.
I mean, we
And
have
lots
of them on that.
Yeah, and that was the one thing that I brought up at the beginning, saying like if there were a child with special needs, we have to meet their needs, whatever that may be, and we're not trained, right? Absolutely. It's just that we're not trained. So maybe it's doing more trainings. The leadership side of things, I definitely believe in, but maybe it's more trainings that the village is paying for our staff and or support staff, like how we're supposed to be. What's the best way to do this? And we've had, Jill Hexco, who worked for us at the pool, obviously did that to school. So she's been able to like give some of her, expertise from time to time and stop in. But I think it would really be helpful and I don't even know what that training necessarily is. I haven't reached out to look into different things, but and maybe just contacting the school as well to be like, hey, is there something that you have resource wise that can help this for us? And maybe Sarah has some better ideas too.
Yeah, we'll look into this class.
But this year in that regard was a lot more challenging, and the girls did a wonderful job. Like it was awesome. Like it was great.
I was over there a couple times. So
Yeah.
You furry cats.
Literally.
When it started 17, I told you, it was game-changing, life-changing for the body. My kids were able to do more than they had, more opportunities within cross planes than they had ever had before. The swim team, the fact that you coordinated with the swim team, they did not give them a lot of real-time information. Yeah, I can't
Well,
forget.
yeah, because it's like,
Yeah, no, we have that data, you have no idea.
But I mean, and I'm not the only family that was, I'm sure that was in that situation, you know, it was like.
Well, that's what I wanted to add. I know people, and it was a selling point for me, was moving to Cross Plains was because of the rec department. In the number, like, my friend was like, you have to move here, they have these swimming lessons. And I think it is a huge draw for families to come to Cross Plains because of that. And that's something to be really proud of. So,
yeah, and we are.
yeah.
We obviously wouldn't still be here.
Right.
And then we absolutely love all the kids
And we have a
All
great
family.
community.
Yes, and everyone, the community has been very supportive of, I mean,
Yeah.
and it's just, and words are great and, you know, and you usually hear the bads and the negatives, so it is, we are very proud of it.
Yeah, I do think, connecting with the school, with parents, doing some kind of, just like consulting almost would really help that transition.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah, even if we just got like a report from a teacher or like, I don't even
Yeah.
know, like, can you do like letters of
Right.
recommendation?
Yeah. What kind of gets me thinking about when you're talking about your training staff, is there any kind of incentive bonus or anything for people to return? Like kids to return, who like, you know.
Like participants?
No,
Oh,
the people who are
Just,
working.
Oh.
Yeah.
so they get a quarter raise every year they come back. Quarter.
Yeah, that's great.
And that's, so these,
Right.
so those sorts of things are village board policies. We haven't necessarily went through that policy in full depth, you know, like we've made changes to people's pay because we were like, we need to keep them. And we've even changed job descriptions so that it's more in line of what they're actually doing, and they're more of a supervisor than or a lead staff than just a support staff, right? Like there's a couple of them that we made changes to. So yes, there is some incentives, but it's not very much. And that could be something that the committee takes up to say, hey, you know, to bring our staff back, here's what we'd like to see, right? Or as we move forward, this is the pay scales that we'd like to see for staff. And that's what our plan is, or, you know, more my plan to like change the budgeting side of things with it here. Once we've had this and settled down and like figure out for next year what the costs are going to be. You know, the rec budget's obviously an interesting one because it doesn't make money, but it's all projected revenue. And so you're trying to base costs on not just your staff and supplies, but what people can afford, because we do want everyone to be able to do it as well. So it's finding that fine line and trying to figure out what's best. Because, you know, when you do a projected budget and you think you're going to get 20 kids and you get 40, you've now doubled your revenue. You haven't doubled your expenses, you know, and that's usually where the projected aspect gets a lot higher. And ours in general has always come in higher than what we project. And I think that's more based on the offering and the increase in offerings. Like people come to us with a program they'd like to see. And so now it's going out and finding an instructor, or, you know, or they're an instructor and they want to teach a class. So it's bringing them that way.
Yeah,
So.
and I mean, like, we also like would do Starbucks runs for our staff and Dunkin' Donuts,
Yeah.
Crossroads.
Try to do little perks.
Yeah, we try to keep the kitchen fully stocked for staff to hopefully they, you know, like.
I think it's,
And like, you know, when next summer comes around, when we reach out for stuff, and they're like, oh, well, we have great staff. Yeah.
And-
We want to do more like that. Like, I'd love to do like, even like, you know, have a griddle one week and we do like, who can make the coolest pancakes? Or like, what kinds of pancakes can you make? Or like, just crazy stuff like that. Or like, have like a milkshake week or just like some like fun, yeah. Like, and make it more like a camp for them. But like, it's a lot to coordinate between the two of us. And,
We always have these great ideas and then just getting to implementing them is, you know, when you're running around like with a chicken and a head off. So.
But I mean, but yeah, when we like, this has been a great stuff that we've had
It is.
since, and we can keep them multiple years, yeah.
Rubber.
So if we can, yeah, keep these ones around and figure out how we can, it'd be super beneficial, because they're all definitely motivated or more willing to do more. We can definitely work with that.
What's your target for the 17?
For kids or for staff. We would love to change it from, instead of going into kindergarten, it would be have completed kindergarten through 5th grade. That's kind of been what we've had anyway.
Got a lot of going into kindergarten.
This summer,
This
and
past
that was-
summer, that was rough.
I know what it is.
Exactly. Yeah. But if you could have met with us, she's the best in terms of kindergartners.
No, and like going back on what you said, Sarah, about why you moved here is something that I always said to people. Like, we don't have an identity. And when I came here, I was like, we don't have an identity, like at all. Everyone talks about Middleton. It's high school. That's usually a community's identity. And so making our department in general, the village's identity, to me has been like awesome. Like that's the whole reason I think I'm still here as well. Like, you don't want to leave something
Yeah.
that you feel is the reason people do come here and want to visit here or live here, play here, work here, whatever it may be. So I think, and that's obviously on part of your guys' jobs too, as park members, to like make sure we are doing that, continuing to do that and bring new ideas and
But I think
opportunities. So
we're bringing up the need for facilities.
I agree.
That I just keep hearing, like thinking about tools, but also thinking about what you are providing.
Agree.
Well, and you know what? Data speaks. I mean, you want to prove it out, I mean, data, patterns, trends, projections, deliverables on those projections matter. That's how you get the buy-in. So I'm always asking, like, what are you trying to do? Like, what does that building maintenance look like? What are we saving for not paying Dane County Services the rent that we're paying for them?
So much
Yeah,
money.
right?
So
And-
much money.
Yeah, and so, anyway.
And that can be a hard one. And that's why I was more or less telling Paulette, like, what are our current expenses? We came into this, I didn't know. I don't see the expenses on this building, let alone, so I didn't know. So I'm asking her to tally that up last year, this year. We're going to do, the averages throughout that time and other expenses on top of that. So, I mean, I had said to her, like, your sewer water bill had to have been outrageous for us, having 40 kids in there all summer. And she was like, yeah, like, I don't know if she noticed it was that big of a difference, but it has to be. And so being able to show those measurements and also provide funding back to Northwest Dane Senior Services in some way, shape, or form, it has to happen, and it will happen, but we just need to figure out what that is for
Well,
sure.
those measurements will help you with kind of like the
Decide.
performance
Yeah.
indicators,
Yeah.
Is something working as well as you think? You feel like it's working, but when you actually start to look drill into those details, you're like, it's really not delivering what I thought it would.
Right,
It really
right.
takes a lot to like.
Sure.
I know that's easy for me to say.
No,
not
I
being in
agree.
your shoes
I
and
agree.
having time to maybe set up some of these tracking or,
Oh, it's easy enough for us to do. It's just getting the expense side of it more in line. So, but I agree. And we'll bring that back to all of you as well. Once
Well,
it's
I
in
thought it
place.
was really great, all of the opportunities that you provided to the seniors too.
Right.
Just even having the kids around.
Yeah, they'll just come out and they'll just sit outside the door and watch them come back from the park. And they love it. They give them high fives.
They love to watch them.
And that was the whole point, right?
Yeah.
Paulette came to us saying we could do intergenerational programming. Come here, right? We're buying this property. You guys come here rather than be at the fire station, because the first year we were at the fire station, in which we didn't pay for that either. So it was kind of like, well, what do we want to, can we make this trend and what's the cost going to be? That's where we sat down and broke those things out. But agree 100% on that side of it. So, hopefully we can expand on it. So, thanks, girls.
Thank you.
Summer, thanks for coming and giving your info. Jed, do you have anything? I think I shared. No? Okay. Do you hear me?
Yeah, I would just say, like, it would be nice to hear from the parents or the people who participated in the programs, about how much, it meant to them. I think that's, for me, it's a little more tangible. I mean, it's great to hear from the staff as well, but just to hear from some of them in the future.
Okay. We heard from one. Sounds good. All right, thank you. All right,
At work, it's another back and what's the customer?
it's true. Surveys, Survey Monkey, we have all that stuff.
And it could be
too.
good and bad. When you start seeing the pattern of the bad, you're like, I gotta fix that.
Yeah.
This is not working.
Completely agree.
So,
Completely agree.
Okay, 3 to 5:30. See what we do.
All right. Just my report. Just want to give you all a few things here. Just have up there pictures. If you haven't been up there to the pickleball basketball courts, they are almost completed. We still have a few tasks to complete. Getting windscreens, they're just not in yet. Paddle saddles along all 4 courts is something else we need to do. We are doing some landscaping around the trees, the entrance area when you walk in. So we have a new pad of concrete that will have 2 benches on. We'll have a kiosk up there to talk about rules, policy, those sorts of things. And then on the other pad, we'll have a trash can and recycling container as well. The pads are poured, cement's completed. We just have to wait now for blacktopping on the streets so that we can get a few buckets of that, so I can finish off around the outside of those pads. So that should look really nice when it's done. I was going to get some landscaping pavers, like large limestones to put around, and so people could sit on those as well all around the courts, because that's where all the shade is. And then I went out to the well project that's going on at well 3 and noticed a huge mound of limestone rocks. And I said, what are you guys doing with those? And they're like, you want them? We're trying to find a place to get rid of them. I was like, this is awesome. So we'll have them brought up to Bear Park. So repurposing those, we're going to put those around the area, kind of flatten some of them out. And we have a ton of seed and plants that we've started within the nursery side of things. So we'll be putting those all in that area as well. So it's going to look really nice. Pretty excited about that. And then benches I talked about. Future programming ideas. So we have some summer kids programs we've already been talking about, what other people are doing. Some adult skills classes we've had people already request as well. And then some adult leagues. One thing that we will have to shoulder at some point is to figure out how we want to go about the league side of things. I guess what I'm hearing is a lot of times the league, like it'll be someone in Madison starting a league, and then they say, hey, there are 4 courts out in Cross Plains. You guys go out there and play from this time. And so and that may happen. So if it does, I need to know how I should control that, and which hopefully we'll get through a little bit tonight too. But I think that should be taken care of with the way that things are reserved for groups and things that are done. But just keep that in mind. Projected costs in our 2022 CIP was $110,000 for this entire project. Right now, I'm at $88,721. So we are actually under budget by quite a bit. Hopefully that stays that way. And I'm hoping we actually would have less than that. So we do have one problem with the courts, where qual line fence, which I have not paid them yet, where they put the standards. So all of these, they put them in the wrong spot. And how they put those in, or they drive them in roughly 6-7 feet into the ground. So that can't be changed. I didn't notice it as much. I didn't notice it at all, to be honest with you, until the court was painted. When they were up there, I noticed that they weren't in line with all of them. But I'm like, well, that's not a big deal, right? It's that it is. I didn't want them to not be in line, and they moved them a little bit to get them in line. But I didn't realize that they put them roughly 3 feet too far away from one fence line, and then 3 feet a little bit too far away from the other fence line. So there's roughly 11 feet on one end and 5 feet on the other. And it was supposed to be 8 feet, 8 feet, 8 feet, 8 feet. I went through my plans. I went through everything. I was like, how did you guys screw this up, right? Because when I went up there, I tried to line everything up so that it was done so that we could open the gates if we ever needed to do something with the skateboard park, because that's how we would get in and out. And I noticed that the standard was like, I wouldn't be able to get the gate all the way open. And I was like, what? So I went back and looked at the plans, and the plans were correct. Like, I actually did that right, which if you guys remember, we did that in-house, which isn't normal. Usually you'd have a project manager or engineer put those in the plans, but I was like, okay, I did that right. I don't know how you messed it up. Qualline still has not been here to talk to me about it, and I've left them at least 5 phone calls and a couple of emails to say that you won't be receiving your payment from the village until we talk about this. Mainly because we're going to want to let it off. I'm not like, that's crazy that you did that and they weren't in line. So
That's just a spacing issue, right? It's not, all the courts are still regular.
the courts are perfect. So the painting company, Midwest Seal Coat, did an amazing job. I think the courts look great. The gray, I was like nervous about. I really liked the idea because it would be cooler, especially as we don't have a lot of shade around the court itself. gray would be a lot cooler than black or a darker color. So I really like that. Now bikes and rollerblades and all those sorts of things, you can really see their tire marks. So I have signs up right now that say no bikes, no, anything with wheels on any of the courts. So that's the only real that, but I think they look great. We've gotten a ton of compliments on how well they look. So the Midwest Steel Co. did a great job, and I've already paid them, or we've already sent that invoice out. So I'm actually planning to if we have money left over, to go to the village board to ask them if we can have Midwest Steel Co. come back and do Glacial Valley basketball court. Because when we did it before, we just painted those lines. There isn't any surface coat on them, and you can tell that they're already aging. So my hope is we paint those now. It'll seal them longer and keep them in better shape for longer. Anywhere from, it depends on the weather, what's around it, how many trees are around it. I mean, there's a lot of variables, how much they're played. Are there other vehicles that drive on it or anything? Those are all, because I asked the same thing. And usually 5 to 8 years, they'll need to be repainted or redone. So, but the one thing it does do is it helps seal the courts. So the blacktop itself should last, twice as long. But you hope on a court like this should last you 20 to 30 years. So
the nets come down to the winter.
they do. Yep, we'll take those in. We'll take those in when we're done. The standards will stay in place, which is the reason I went with that rather than taking where you can take the standard sleeve out, is because I didn't want water to be able to get into the blacktop, because that's when you will have problems. And that was another thing we messed with Qual Line. In my specs, I had put in there that they needed to re-asphalt the holes around the holes. Well, they did, but they used cold mix. And so I have pictures of it, and I should have put those up too. But I dug all that out, all the cold mix I dug out, took it away, called in an asphalt. We went with our own truck to get asphalt, came back, and we actually sealed that up, because when I took all the cold mix out, cold mix is asphalt, but it's just sticky. It's like a sticky rock, but it's not warm at all. We use it in areas like if we have potholes that we're waiting to get asphalt for, we'll put that down as a temporary base. Yeah. But water will run through it. So when I took all that out, it was water all underneath it. I was like, that would have frozen and broke all around the standard. So, and I went to Wanakee's court because they did their court as well. And that's how I was like, oh, we'll go with this. This is a really good design. I like it. And they said they used cold mix, and there's no way, because the paint looks the same where it could, and it look all marbly kind of, because it's got more holes. So that's another thing I'll be talking to them about when they come out. So
what's your ask?
I don't know yet. I mean, the standards themselves were 5,300. And if you think about it, so I had myself and 2 of the public works guys up there to put in the asphalt. I took the asphalt out, or the cold mix out. So I was like thinking about this in terms of like their time as well. And I wrote it all down. I'm sorry. Originally, I think I had asked for 4,300, 4,351.96 was what I was asking for back. The standards themselves were supposed to be 5,600. So we'd still be paying for the materials, I'd say, but I'm not paying for the work that was done. But we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Or we won't pay for any of it. No. We'll see if there's money left over. That would be one thing that I would ask, since the village board has already borrowed that money as well. I'd ask if we could do another court, or even a couple of those courts too. So, and then lastly, we have a court warming party. I don't know if any of you seen that in the newsletter, but on October 3rd from 4 to 6 p.m. The public can come out, and we'll have Frank Durham and a couple of the other Madison Pickleball Association people come out and kind of teach people how to play. Like if you haven't played before, here's how you play, and let them play a few games, and then let the group come in. I'm asking for RSVPs just so that I know how many people are coming, if I need to get different paddles or more paddles or balls. I currently did purchase 4 paddles and balls that people will be able to check out from the library. So we'll put it on that shelf at the library for them to do, at least at the beginning here. I may end up trying to get a box up at the park, right next to the courts, where it has a paddle lock on it, and people can call in and reserve the paddles or get the paddles from us, give them a code, take it, and then they have to make sure that they're back. Maybe something like that too. But something, I don't know if they're at the library, if people will know that, or go there to get them. I mean, they're traveling or whatever, you know, it's a little out of their way, but and the library's not always open and they may want to play too. But we'll see. We'll see how popular it is or how it goes. All right. And then yeah.
Wonder if there's something automated you could do where you would, yeah, basically.
Yeah, right.
Well, like you with your phone, you would just
Cute.
pay basically, and then you'd be sent the code. I
Right.
guess then you would get it for every
Time. You could change it. So the nice thing about so I did this type of padlock system for Mary's place and it worked awesome. If people needed to get in there, I could change the code. It was like electronic on my phone, or I could even give them the QR, but then when they're next to it and they have internet, it just would unlock it. It was really nice actually. And then we forgot about it. I forgot about it. So the batteries died because it was there all winter. The batteries died. And I tried everything, jumping it, you know, because it said I watched so many YouTube videos to say, you know, how do you get these open once you can't, and I couldn't, so I had to cut that one off of it, which, you know, it's like they're like $80 lock, you know, so it's actually just a little like you'd have on a house, but it's all digital, and then put the code in, it pops off, and then the keys in there. So I knew when it was open, when it was closed. I just would go by it on my phone, and it would download everything, like when it was open, closed, and the number that opened it and closed. It was great. It was one of those master lock ones, but I forgot. So yeah, but next year, hopefully, we'll have something different. So, yeah, so if you're around on the 3rd, come on down, check it out. We'll have some paddles. You don't have to be there the whole time. I just figured that time would be available for them. So. NFL flag football started. We actually have a coach over here. Cody's one of our coaches again this year, so thanks for coaching. Program's been great so far. Been here both Saturdays and haven't had any issues with coaches, kids, or we got all of our equipment, and refs have been awesome as well. So it's so far so good. We had our car show last Saturday as well. I don't know if that, but they had a great showing up until, as I told, like noon. Good amount of people. John Riley does a great job at like communicating with me and his needs. We meet there on Thursday, go over everything that he'd like to see within the park, and he's been great to work with. So it's a great little different program, you know, obviously brought into the community. I'd really like to find a way to get him off the baseball diamond, just because we still have fall ball, so people are playing baseball still on Sundays. So if we had any rain, which we had a ton of rain the week before, if you had any rain like that, we wouldn't, I mean, and they have driven on there before when it's soft, and it's like we're out there rolling, you know, on Sunday just to try and get them ready for their game in the outfield so no one breaks an ankle or something. So maybe in the future, it'd be nice to see it move to the school or somewhere else, but they obviously like the area because it has all the facilities they need, the bathrooms, concession stand, things like that. But just a thought. And then we have the Evan Cradawheel Memorial Run coming up here on Thursday. Right? That's when, that's right, his first. We do have one here on the 22nd. That's a different one. But yes, you are correct. That Memorial one was on the 1st. Are you? Oh, nice. So if you're around for that, come on out. A special thanks to Jason Cradawheel. He's been working with us in Olson Tune to try and get the course in a better condition. Obviously, it's Dane and I, so trying to get a complete course ready for them and make it, you know, as good as we can for this event was going to be tough to do. So he was able to come out. Olson Tune was able to come out. They did aerating already last week and reseeded it. And then we'll be watering if we don't get rain here this week, and also rolling the course before the event happens on the 1st. So. Any questions at all? All right.
Oh, can I?
Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
What's the status of the park?
Yeah, actually, I saw Burke Recreation last week. They have our equipment, but they don't have us on their schedule yet because they're so many days out. So they schedule their work days because we're not putting that one in, they're putting it in. And we weren't in their 14-day calendar yet. So I'm hoping like we get in their calendar this week. I told them that we better be in the calendar. I mean, we ordered it back in like May. So
Is it
that's
that
saying
spot where it's
mowed.
mowed?
Yeah. We mowed it. We sprayed it as well to try and kill everything off. That's gonna be your guys' decision. I mean, I would have called it Bear Park still. I would have continued to call it Bear Park. Yeah, Glacier. We had another Glacier one.
Because a bear park name after someone.
Yeah, and we can talk about that. So we have like a breakdown with names and how it's supposed to be done. So yes, it can be by who, but usually those people are donating the land when it's after they name. So that particular space was obviously Beekner, right? Who knows who it was before that? Right. So they would have to come up with a name. And the reason I said Bear is because I just feel like it's going to be hard for people. If that space gets developed, Bear Park, it's going to look like one park, right? Like it's literally together with buildings and everything. That's why I always called the Bear Park expansion, because no one ever came up with a name for it. And this playground would technically be Glacier Ridge Park, but we have a Glacial Valley, and we have Glacier Edge, and we have all these other glaciers names already. So I think it'd be ideal to.
I know someone who's born into glaciers and like some features.
Oh, the land feature.
Yeah,
Like we can't call it Dripples Park.
No. I mean, well, I just think like it would be kind of, you know, I like that whole educational.
Oh, yeah.
Thing that would be like.
That's
And I
good.
think it drives this community and the landscape, so.
Real science. What does that mean? Right, like 10,000 years ago, during the last ice age, glaciers there you go.
I like it. Sounds great. So, but I'm not sure on the actual date it'll be going in. Hoping soon.
Will it be this fall?
It better be.
Okay.
Yeah, it better be. The nice thing is they'll come in one day and it'll be up.
Oh.
That'll be, that's what they do for a living, these people. So that part should be good. Where it took us a month to put the one up. Granted, that's like 8 times the size of that, but it still took us. It literally took us 30 days.
What the kids do.
I know. And that's why we have a dinosaur as well. So I think the neighborhood should probably come up with a name.
I will just post, we need to start coming out with Hey,
I mean, Jed's house will be used most of the time, probably for everyone to use the restroom. So you could probably have Henry Park or something like that sort. He's not here. Oh, there he is.
I don't think my wife would approve of that.
Yeah, porta potty backyard. That would be great. Yeah. No. Okay. And then just real quick, the village board did approve what you two aren't here, but Seamus Terry is donating an update to the small diamond at Bear Park, putting in a new backstop, fencing, bleachers, not bleachers, dugouts, and roofing over the dugouts as well. So they approved that. I completed the MOU with our attorney, and everyone has signed it. So he ordered all the materials and things, so it should be here hopefully by the end of the month or early next month. So should be nice. All right, that's all I have.
July 18th, 2022, and August 15th, 2022.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from July 18th, but I wasn't here for August.
Yeah, can we do those separately?
You can.
All right.
Yep. You can second the 18th. Yeah.
Oh, I'll second the approval of the minutes, the July 18th.
Yeah,
All in favor?
okay. Sorry.
I'm sorry.
Okay, it's not functioning.
You're good.
Is there a
all-
discussion? Can we have a discussion on this?
You can.
I'm just curious, do we have enough people if I abstain to approve it since I wasn't there? Because I prefer to abstain since I wasn't there.
Yeah, you can abstain from minutes. I mean,
Okay. I
Yeah.
wanted to approve it and I'm willing to vote for it, but I wasn't there. So if there's enough people to vote, I'll just abstain.
okay. Yeah, you just need 3. So,
Okay.
Yep.
All in favor of approving the July 18th minutes, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
I'll abstain.
Or abstaining, I'm sorry.
it's all right. So then you'll do the minutes for the 15th of August next. 2 separate motions, I guess. Well, that's fine. You can just say discussion possible action to approve the minutes of August 15th.
Discussion for possible action to approve the minutes of August 15th, 2022 Parks and Rec.
I'll make a
me too.
motion to approve.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah. All right. So, so we'll put the 15th one back on next month since Derek's not here. And he was the only other one here. Is that all right, Jed?
Okay. Yeah, I'm fine with that.
I didn't know Derek wasn't coming. He texted me like 5:45 or 5 saying he couldn't make it. So. No problem.
Excuse me, discussion for possible action regarding the subgroup Parks Recreation Distribution Committee to provide a feasibility study for a new village cross-plane swimming.
All right, so I put this back on. Mainly, I didn't know if Cody had names or if you wanted to talk about names even tonight in regards to that feasibility study. Obviously, and I wanted Sarah and Jennifer to get caught up to what we talked about at the last meeting, and maybe we'll read the minutes and get it from that. But the committee of who was here obviously approved the idea of having a subcommittee be part of the Parks and Recreation Committee, and made up of 1 village staff member, 2 Parks and Recreation Committee members, 1 village trustee, and 1 village trust. Oh, and 1 stingray and 1 village trustee. Is Yep. So it was 1 village staff member, 2 stingrays. I'm sorry. 1 Parks and Recreation Committee member, and then 1 trustee, which the trustee was Cody since he was on the Parks Committee already. And we can do more than that. You can do, you know.
Like Stingray, you specifically say on the board of Stingray? I thought I saw that somewhere, like it was.
That might have been that may have been what Jay had talked about, actually, now that you say that.
I know they said there was they wanted one of the past president for them, is what they were discussing.
Right, those are our official board members.
Yeah.
You know, whereas Brian and I run the concessions, we're not really official board.
I think the big thing, the hard thing is, you know, those are 1-year terms. So do they pass that on then if we only get through this for, you know, if we get through part of this at the time, or
Right, like incoming president, and then they're
past?
So that's
Yeah.
like a
3-year.
commitment, but at the end,
Yeah.
is there?
Right.
Well, that's like, I mean, I was going to see this come up with fun. Because she's been a Stingray president, but.
She'll be done.
She's done.
Yeah. And I don't know if the board aspect of things matters. I mean, I guess it does in the sense that, you know, they'll be making decisions, you know, based on this in the future. So it's nice to maybe have that input from them. And I'd say most of the time, and that's where this may not matter as much as like the actual, maybe they don't need to have these titles at all. And it's just people that are passionate about bringing a pool to the community too, right? And they happen to be a Stingray or they happen to be on the board. I guess it just limits that position and who you really would like to see. I'm open to it. I don't mind if it, personally, I was fine with us having it our committee and people just came to this meeting, but I think we may get more out of it if it's not so structured and it's more just like drop in, you know, sessions for people to come and or they know Sarah's on this committee so they can tell her what they'd like to see, right? Or vice versa. But
If you guys know anyone who would be interested, if you want to reach out to them, if they would have interest, they get in touch with me, and so we can kind of all be on the same page.
Yeah.
The only person that I've got interest from is the wife of another living board. As I'll take whatever we need to do to kind of get it rolling.
Well, and I think that we can ask the Stingray board if they have a preference, because I don't know if they want somebody speaking on behalf of the board or representing the Stingrays that are an elected board member, because they are elected.
Yeah.
It's a formal election, but, you know, it is, there's a nomination and there's an approval process.
Yeah.
The rest of that.
I think the other thing that I didn't think about this is that it should be village members of the Stingrays, not non-residents, correct?
Yes.
They can come and give input and be a part of it. I would rather it be just village residents though that were on the committee. So if you think about, because the Stingrays are obviously made up of a lot of non-residents as well. So, and sometimes even the president or the vice president, they can tend to be non-residents. So, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we want to make sure that we keep it on the resident side and also be open to them coming and speaking and, being a part of the process.
So I don't know, Sarah, I mean, either one of us can reach out. Yeah, I'd probably go to, I mean, I know I saw that too, but I'd probably go to Heidi.
Well,
because
Emily
she's an
wants
active-
to.
She does. Okay.
Yeah, she does. I think Heidi though is also would like to.
So Heidi is the outgoing president,
Right.
so she's still on board in the
Right.
incoming season too. So, thank you.
Yeah. Who's the president again? I knew who it was.
Kramer.
Oh, that's right.
Who are not really residents.
Yeah.
Emily sounds like she would want to be on it.
Yes, yeah, she said she.
I'll see how you Thursday.
And I think when you think about people to be on the committee too, it's really just people will want to commit to it, and also people that are passionate about getting other people here. That's what it really is yes, they're going to be the voice as well. Like they're going to be able to give the voice, but are they able to get out into the community a little bit and say, hey, we're having this meeting. You need to come, or, what is your input on this? More of like who's entangled into the entire community or a niche. It could just be a niche too, but making sure that we're hearing.
So I think I made this.
Yeah.
Like she just knows all the families.
Sure.
That's why, like, she's pretty well.
Yeah.
And her kids are all swimming, the other else swimming.
As long as there's no conflict of interest, where
Right.
she's in a position where she doesn't feel comfortable because of those other relationships approaching families, that also has to be something.
yeah.
considered.
Then basically, we're just trying to get the
Trying to get people
village as a
here.
whole wants and
Yeah.
want here, not just have four opinions from this person that needs to be there.
And think of
Not just
right. And that's why maybe you do 7. Maybe there's even more members, because I was thinking about this before. Like we should have a senior on this committee of some sort. Like someone that you may know, or I don't know, like that has been here for a while and would want to see more senior type amenities be offered, or talk about zero depth or something easier for them. Might be a good thing. And I also think staff or even a coach like Kendra would be probably a really good person, I think, too, even though she's not a coach. She doesn't live here, but at least getting her here, like we want to hear from the coaching perspective. Right. So normally a consultant would meet with these groups independently, in which we could always do as well. The committee itself could do, but like you reach out to them and say, hey, this meeting is just for your group for a half an hour during this time, just to give us some feedback about what you'd like to see. And then move on to the next group, maybe set them up for a whole night where you just have half hours of these different groups. That's normally how a consultant would do it during the day. That's what they do, like buildings and stuff too.
Yeah, one thing I noticed is there's not like just a regular community member.
Like open swim or
Yeah,
they're not.
I mean, like, I think there's this one mom in my neighborhood who's very involved in the PTOs. I can see her getting involved in this, but she's not
Any of those. Yeah, and maybe that's like where we try and get a couple of people, right? And on it. So maybe you expand the number to 7 as well. It wouldn't hurt anything. It's more just picking a time or picking a date and a time that you feel you and or who's on here can commit to, and hammering these out over the next 6 months or so to try and have enough public input meetings. So I did put together some slides for tonight just because we were doing it this way, but looked at objectives and scope of work for the committee, just from what we talked about before, but also like some things that Jay had. I just kind of put them in. Oh, I didn't. Oh, that bothers me. I didn't underline that one, but talked about like public outreach. A minimum of 3 public information meetings. Usually you do 3. You can do this up to, I've seen as many as 6 on different projects. This could be one where you do more. You have one and then you talk about different things and then you have another one, because it may be something that a lot of people are passionate about. So the meetings may take a little while too. So having more of them may be good. And then being able to do it this way as well so that people feel like they can just get online and do is probably a good idea too. Site analysis. So recommendations regarding size, location, and components. That's what this committee would have to come up with as well. Whether it be in the current location, we've all talked about the possibilities of where they could be, but current location, obviously over by Bear Park. And then are there other areas that we haven't really looked at or talked about? And then market analysis, evaluate current and future needs, identify current trends, and recommend proper elements and amenities of desired spaces and activities, which we would get from the public meeting from people, but also maybe something that you've done on your own that you've noticed in other communities that are really important trends. I found a couple of feasibility studies, one I really like because it gives you a lot of breakdowns of cost for every single amenity. So I'm going to try and I'll bring that to you or to this committee when we get to that point, but I think it's a little overwhelming probably at the beginning for some. So, and then the business plan. So facility programming and planning, obviously the people we bring into the public meetings themselves can discuss things that they would really like to see. What is our current offerings in current revenue and expenses, and then recommendations regarding potential other revenue streams or generating revenue opportunities. I think those things are going to be really important in the operating side of this. So the village board, the current budget, where we're at and growth and dependent on growth over the next 5 years, our expenditure restraint is only so much, whatever our growth is, right? And so if we were to build a new pool facility, obviously some of that expenditure growth gets broken down just on us paying back those fees, or paying back the cost to build a new facility, right? And then you have operating expenses that are going to probably go up over the next 5 years anyways with the cost of living. But also if we were to build a larger facility, now we have a different staffing plan or facility programming plan. So we need to figure out, best we can, the business plan behind that. And so I'll do the best I can with all of these things, but it'll be good, I think, for all of you to look at that closely as well, kind of see, are there areas that we currently, and it may give us a better chance of what we're doing now. Is there more efficient ways to do it, than what we're currently offering with our facility? But ideally, we would find out what that business plan looks like. And then at the end of it would be a schematic design alternative. So provide conceptual and schematic design alternatives and associated costs with that. And that may be something that will be something that we will need outside of all of our expertise. We won't be able to come up with that. But and then obviously there's fundraising and all those, once you get those schematic designs and or drawings, there's obviously another point of this of village board approval of all of these things as well. That's going to be a really important step. So
timeline of the feasibility committee and the timeline of the project itself, if approved, those are all factors. But I think that when it's a starting point, right, the timeline or I guess the structure of the feasibility, you're hoping to walk away, I think, with a mission statement for this committee tonight. And then also, like you said, the scope of work. Well, we're talking about doing this over 2 months, or we're talking about doing this over 6 months. And
Sure,
it may not
sure.
until we dig in.
Right.
But what is the commitment of these people that we're going to be asking to be part of this committee, so that they're not slipping out in a month or two when this thing is going on for 6 to 8 months. Or maybe even longer.
Yeah, I think the dedication side of it is probably good to tell the people right away. I think you're looking at least the feasibility part of this, at least a year. I would say at a minimum, it's going to be a year of planning, of meetings, of, even coming together when the community may not be coming together to talk about some of the things that people are finding out or things to look at. Obviously, as staff, I'll try and take on a lot of the behind the scenes and putting the reports together and all those sorts of things. But I want to make sure that the committee, it's all their input, or, it's the community's input of where all this is compiling and coming together. So, but yeah, I think that's probably a good point, Jennifer, like to try and do a timeline to try and stick to. That's something that a consultant would do as well. But that may be something like we can break out here, as a group too, of what we think and how long it'll take to complete these things. And ideally, we would actually have this on the agenda every month to have an update for everybody to have. And it's obviously recorded and we can come back to it or look at, things that we talked about or discussed to make any changes. The subcommittee meeting later time. But I think tonight, mission statement. I mean, we've kind of come up with one already. I know we talked about in one of the previous meetings. But I think really, I don't know, do you plan to like set a day and a time tonight for these types of meetings, or are you going to ask people and see what they can do?
I want to see what we have before we try and pin down the time, just because I have to on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So
I know.
It's not going to work for everyone every time, but I thought if we could do once a month meeting for an hour, and just talk to each other, see what feel out people. But before we really set it up, I'd like to know who we would actually have on the committee and have it narrowed down, then have the mission statement, so we're all starting from the same starting point.
Well, I think there has to be possibly, like your assignment from that past meeting, giving people the flexibility to work that within their schedules, because it's not just a bunch of people coming to a room to brainstorm. Like we're already doing. Like it's about action. And action means the next time you come, you're going to have done research in this particular area, pulled out what you talked about. And then from there, you can take it, further and how you have to dial it in. There is a commitment. If we want to actually have a vote.
I agree.
And I also, I would say too, that when we tell these people that we're doing this committee, it's not like we're going to have an immediate pool, like they're breaking ground in 2 years, because money wise, that just won't be feasible at this point. But if we can get this to the board and justify it with facts, with data, like, hey, you've got 201 memberships that are family memberships in our pool right now. It would be nice to know from those people, if we were to build a new pool, obviously the rates are going to go up for a family membership. What are you okay with? So you can bring the business side of it in, because frankly, when you look at, say, a $5-7 million project at a village this size, it's hard to justify something where it's only open 3 months out of the year. So
and I think I think you hit that on the head. I think the other big part of that is, I think it would be a referendum question anyways. So getting out ahead of that, and talking that over with not just village residents, but the school district, everyone, just to make sure that we're not all coming to the, there at the same time. Talking to the city of Middleton as well, they have a referendum this year, but are there any TIFs coming off, or, when are they trying to get a financial plan from them? Because as soon as a lot of those things happen, I think there'll be some windfalls, at least for the district and others, that would help alleviate some pockets here too. Jed, I see you unmuted. Do you have something?
Yeah, I just wondered if there couldn't be a suggestion of putting the subcommittee before our monthly parks meeting, just for ease and convenience, knowing that there's probably at least 2 members of our committee that will be on it.
That's what I was hoping and thinking too. I just didn't know if 5, maybe we push our park meeting back to 7 and do the committee meeting at 6. We could do that if everyone, I just don't know if earlier than 6, if people in the community would even be able to come out. Like 5 o'clock might be a little early. I don't know.
Well, as a subcommittee, does it have like, is there a quorum or could people dial in Zoom? I mean, this is really just like an advisory.
It is.
And this is too much.
Yeah, it is. And we can, it won't have to go through any Robert's rules unless you want it to. It's all on Cody or whoever the chair is and how they want it to run. Or who wants to take it on. You know, it doesn't have to be Cody to actually run that meeting. If you want to take it on and do it, that'd be, you know, you could do that as well. Or you switch. It could be someone different this time. I'd probably stick to trying one person, so just let's stay in order, but whatever you'd like to do. But yeah, so people could come on via Zoom like Jed is on an advisory like that. We don't have to be in a space.
I mean, just think if you try to figure out a different date, but besides when we do parks meetings, I mean, it's just so hard to coordinate everyone's schedules. And since we're already doing this, and like those of us that are doing parks meetings, I mean, I might be able to jump on if it's a half hour beforehand, you know, I might be able to just join in and listen to what's going on because I'm already going to be here for the meeting. If it's another night, it just makes it that much more difficult. I just think that it's just easier to manage if you try to keep it before parks meetings, but that's just my opinion.
I agree with it though.
Yeah, that's a good, I like that a lot actually. I'll add to it.
Because of the Monday nights or the meeting nights.
And I think going to people to ask them to be on a committee with a date and time will be a lot more beneficial to whoever you ask to. Because they'll be able to tell you, yeah, they'll be able to tell you yes or no right away. And then we just go on to the next person. So I guess the question would be, do you want to do 6 or do you want to do 5? Or, you know,
After 6 is kind of like a cutoff because that work is hell breaks. So sometimes we're not out of until 5:15.
okay. So we can make a motion to move the Park and Recreation meeting, the regular PRC meeting to 7 moving forward with the ad hoc pool feasibility committee to meet at 6.
Do we need a full hour for that committee or can they serve what's needed, especially, I mean, can they do it in a half hour, I guess is my question, knowing that it's just one topic?
Not yet, not in the beginning. You're gonna have so many opinions coming in at the very beginning, and brainstorming. I don't think we can dial it into 30 minutes yet.
Yeah, I think giving them an hour is going to be good. And I think it also gives you enough time to talk about other things within that night, what may not be on the agenda or may not be discussed yet for people to do at the next meeting or prior to the next meeting. So I think you'd be surprised. Yeah, I think people talk a lot more than we may even have for time. And I think limiting it to an hour is important as well, because I think it could get long some nights. So.
Well, and that's what's nice about having it back up to parks is you just can't go any longer. You have to stop at that point because we have to move on to the next meeting. And it's also going to make it for a long, night for those that are doing both. So people should be aware of that if they're going to do both. I mean, that's 2 to 3 hours of meetings all in a row during a weeknight. So.
Right.
It'll make you feel like you're on the village board.
Cody is. Oh, that's nothing. I've been here till 1 a.m. before.
We shuffled it till this month too at that point.
Yeah.
If you start to go long for some reason, you gotta adjust.
Yeah. So just so everyone understands, we would need to be done for the ad hoc by the start of, so we need to be done by about 6:55 or so, just so because we would need to start the meeting when it's posted. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. We should make all of our park meetings like that, right? Although they're usually pretty quick. Tonight's a little long.
That's my job at work. I'm an implementation manager.
Oh, really?
5 minutes left. Anybody else got anything left to say at the last 5 minutes of the hour? All right, you're doing this, you're doing this, you're doing that. So.
Oh,
and I come back in a week and I say, that work stuff?
Hey, we found our chair. Yeah. I like it. Definitely minutes person too, I think. Right? So
I make a motion. I can make a motion to change the start time of the regular Parks and Recreation Committee from 6 to 7 PM in order to support an ad hoc pool feasibility meeting starting at 6 o'clock, ending by 6:50 PM.
I think the Parks Committee meeting will start at 7. Is that what you said? Did she? Oh, okay. I just didn't write it down.
I
right.
know, I was just writing in my thing. So I don't know if that's,
Yes.
I said that right.
So moving the regular scheduled PRC meeting to 7 PM.
And I'll second.
Point of clarification, does that start once the ad hoc committee has been formed? Are we forming that tonight, or when does that start?
So you don't need approval of any names, unless you want them by the committee. I wouldn't necessarily, because people may get off and back, someone else may get on at that point too. I think the chair itself, whoever, if, Cody, if you're chairing this, you should make sure you stay in contact and you're the person that has appointed it, or you can appoint someone else to be chair if you want to be as well. But at least the one person should be getting names from all of you, but he should be the point of contact, or the one person should be the point of contact for it.
I'll do like a point of contact thing, but then I would like to assign someone a chair for it, because it's not my cup of tea, and that was sort of thing, I want to help, but it's not anything I do, so it's kind of foreign, and so to kind of get it rolling, get it set up, I'll put the chair, and then I want to see some things, your chair, they want it, that's what I want to be motivated.
Okay.
Except I'm not motivated to do it, I just got other
Yeah.
stuff that I got wrong.
Is that okay with everyone? So to Jed's question, do you want to try and have this for October meeting? So we would change this and have our first meeting in October? Yeah, okay.
I'm good with that.
All right. So yes, Jed, you will make that actually to begin October. Is that 15? Is that, no. October 17th. 2022. Another question for you, would you want well, you guys have a motion on the table, I guess. You want to, well, hold on, I guess we may have to amend it. So do you want that committee to come up with the mission statement, or do you want to provide the mission statement for them?
The committee should.
I was just gonna say, like, once it's forward, then you come up with one, so we're all sitting in the same meeting.
Okay. I'm fine with that. Just want to make sure.
Are you developing? Oh, sorry.
No, you can start asking questions.
Okay.
Are you going to develop some kind of agenda in that first meeting?
Yeah. I'll put something together, as far as what I would like to see us working on, and then once we have it, we'll see who's more interested. We'll kind of have those assignments, once everyone's in the same room, and talking. I mean, even if it's email chains, like, I'm notorious for, I'll put everyone on an email, even for flag football. Everyone's on one email, so you all know what's going on. And then I'll get your guys' emails and I'll shoot them to you. I'll get a hold of Heidi. I don't know if I'm gonna respond. Cameron's like, Anna wants to be part of it, so.
That is good. That's good representation of single. Unless their son joins Stingrays.
Mhm. All right, so then the motion that was made to that, right?
Yep.
Okay, All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion.
Sorry, I'm an I. It took me a minute to get off mute.
You're good.
No worries. All right, motion carries. Discussion and possible action regarding policies for the use of the Bear Park technical.
All right, so last month we had this on the agenda. Mainly wanted to come up with what that policy should look like, or what the committee would like to see that policy look like. Obviously, the hope and plan is not only to have, the hope and plan would be that we have something in place that people can see when they can reserve it, or when it's just open play. And the other thing would be, how much it costs to reserve, or how much, it obviously cost would be zero to drop in. So trying to, come up with that plan tonight so that we can have a policy in place so that people can start reserving it rightfully. We have had a group that's been reserving it on Tuesdays currently. I'm sorry, on Thursdays currently, from 2 to 4 p.m. Most of that group, if not all but 2 of those members, are from out of the village. But one of the members is the one that reserves it. So that's where I was getting at, where it's going to be kind of tough at how things are done. I don't think we police that. I think it's on its own, right? But
Are you currently charging?
I did not charge them yet because we didn't have a policy in place. I didn't want to be too much or too less, and someone complained about it, so I left it the way it was. But did put up that the courts were reserved during that time, just on the fence so that people knew. But in the future, my goal would be that on the kiosk, they can go ahead and QR code, and all of a sudden it goes to where they can reserve it and they can see if the courts are available or not. That's kind of the goal on those dates. I have everything set up for our website already. Courts 1, 2, 3, and 4, but I just need to decide the dates that people can actually reserve them or not. So dates that they can't reserve them, or what you decide, they wouldn't be able to be reserved, they would say drop in play only across that line is my hope. But
Do they have to make a motion to discuss this? Or no?
I'd like to see us actually even come up with more than just a motion to discuss it. I'd like to, yeah. So you can say thing that you talked about Fitchburg, right? About what they had, and you had it even up. And I hadn't seen Fitchburg, so I really liked. Jen came up with this before we got in here, with a really good schedule even. So September had weekly schedules of when people could drop in or when they could reserve it.
So I guess the first thing that, again, I haven't done a lot of research on this, but the one thing, like kind of the intro on the site from the ground part was, these are open to the public on a first come, first served basis, on a schedule for Parks and Rec or a rec department program, type of rental. They do post a paper schedule.
Every week, huh?
On Monday mornings, but they may fluctuate based on real time.
Sure.
And you did not think you wanted to deal with the paper?
I mean, initially, you probably can. I don't know.
I mean, like, where is this paper kept?
But we're on the fence, like wherever your policies are, just talking about putting, so you put a clipboard, right, as you enter into the pickleball court, and you can, just like at the gym or whatever, you're seeing if somebody's name is already listed, and if it's not, then it potentially can't be open. It doesn't necessarily mean something that is written.
Well, that's the thing, like, it seems like you still have to check online. I just don't whether.
Or somebody will show up and say, "There's a court."
So do they make them, obviously they must, online schedule be updated. So if someone were to schedule it for Wednesday, I'm just coming up with a day, on Monday, it's not on their paper schedule.
Yeah.
So it's just online. So they just do it on that Monday. Yeah.
So, I don't know.
I do like the idea of it. I think having it up there looks nice. It's like, oh, they're very organized and they understand, when it's supposed to be reserved and when it's supposed to be open. I just don't know.
I guess like those ones where I guess it was for the specific week. I was thinking that a lot of times it's probably going to be the same schedule every week.
Right.
Because you're going to have these
Groups
right.
Yeah. And that is something that Frank talked about. So Frank Durham's the resident from the village here, plays often. And he was saying that he reserves them in Verona, but it's free, but he reserves them for 2 hours every Tuesday all the way through the end of the summer. So yeah, you're right. It probably didn't change much.
That makes me more wanting, I want that charge. Because otherwise it's going to stop people from just reserving it, so that they have it.
Like guaranteed.
Yeah, like every Tuesday.
Right. I agree. I think if you want to, and you guys can talk
When I
about
looked
it.
at this, like Pittsburgh has their feet listed here.
And we have the cancellation policy too, front and center. That, once your reservation is paid, it's not refundable, except in the case of inclement weather.
Well, and I just think you still have the ability to use it for free. You can, you just might get kicked off. But,
If you're saying like people want to do it every Tuesday at 4 p.m., 6 p.m.
it's
If
up
you're
to
going to
the
book it, you have a good chart.
right, which I feel like a nice one will do an investment. So, yeah. A nice little fundraising opportunity.
I think it's fair.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
know, since
I
I
think
get
it's fair.
the ability to use.
It's funny. I looked up pickleball policies like all over, and Fitchburg didn't come up at all. And they actually have the best one by far.
Pickleball.
Yeah,
It's like Pittsburgh.
that's a really good one. I wonder how they came up with their days. That was the only thing I really questioned, but I wonder if that's because that's what they received for requests. So that's what they decided to go with, or if they just made it so then
Oh, so
people.
they have like that. Like there's particular times where it's always open.
Correct. And that's what I liked. That's what I like too.
They could have arbitrarily picked these days
Right,
and not
and then-
changed anything yet.
Right,
So,
Just because they're new.
I don't know how new this is.
You just not being there.
Yeah, I'd be fine with that. So reservation procedure.
That's like opening day.
Yeah, first business day in
Or
April.
reservation.
So it's
I will.
just.
I do like this too. So the only thing we obviously wouldn't do is, I like, so, okay, first off, reservation policy and or procedure. Let's do that one first. So reservations would be allowed, you want a copy there, is that what you're saying? So reservations
Yeah.
would be allowed. First business day in April, you want to do that?
Yeah.
And they'll be reservable first Monday in May. Wait, what? Oh, they're open in April. They don't open their courts though until May?
Yeah, like the reservation system opens a month prior to. maybe-
Oh, so they just allow drop in?
They can
Drop in, maybe?
They can play. Well, I think it just means that you can start reserving names.
Uh-huh.
But you can't reserve April,
No.
so it just drop in? Cause I mean, there's days definitely in April you'll be able to play. Some years for
Well, do we
sure.
want to shift it back?
March, yeah, maybe do March. March 15th,
So they can start reserving them
yeah,
April 1st.
for April 1st.
Yeah.
Cause this will have to be an activity guide too, so that'll be good. Kind of break it all out. Only accept them, I agree with that.
Would be fun to do another April with that.
Warm up, yeah, we will. We're gonna try. I was trying to get them to get dates, but they're all snowbirds. So I was more or less like, when do you come home? But maybe by then I'll have other people to choose from too. I just like, I don't know how to play that well. I mean, Frank kicked my butt, so like I'd like to and he was really good at explaining the game too. So only accept You guys are okay with only accepting reservations online or in person?
It would
Just
be,
like read through all of that. It's
Yeah.
Pretty much a.
You're good.
45 with a copy and paste.
All right.
well, the one thing I wonder, and I guess that would only be if someone from CC from Pittsburgh does to talk.
I know CC.
You do? Okay,
Yeah.
so do they have a problem with somebody reserving like too far out? Where all of a sudden the league wants to have every Saturday from this time to this time, and they book out till August. And then somebody else comes in and is like, well, shoot. I mean, of course, they need to be able to count on those court times, but is there some kind of, you can't reserve it farther than 90 days in advance or 60 days in advance? I don't know. Maybe I'm just a little.
Maybe if we have problems with that, we could probably come back. I'd rather not restrict it too much on people because I think their leagues run literally all summer. You know, these people they really like their pickleball. Yeah, yeah. All right. Mhm.
So,
Really feeling the one time like the Venmo QR code. I like that. I like the thought of that.
Of being able to Venmo. I can talk to Bobby more about that too, our finance director. I mean, the nice part about it is if you QR code our website, you just have to get a login name, login and password. And then once you do it once, it'll be easy just to select that court for that time and day. And they'd have to pay right then too. Okay, so
there's only some court here.
yeah,
Looks
3
like
through 8.
there's a couple open.
3 through 8. And I don't think we'd be able to do that. They have 8 courts, we have 4. So most of the time when these groups are doing it, 4 was perfect because they'll have 16 people or they'll have 20, and have 4 people sitting out. But I don't think they'd want to have more people sitting out. I think they would probably not come then. Because in 2 hours with 16, 2 hours, they literally play that complete 2 hours and they have a board up and these 16 people play together every Tuesday or every Thursday and they have different partners through different games and they each play each other. So it's like a round robin kind of thing. So I think they would need all the courts. Like they're really in depth on this thing. I took a picture of it one day.
Did you ask or say anything to Chamber of Commerce about putting up some kind of?
Not yet. I have not had a meeting with them. You're talking about like the windscreens for businesses and stuff, or
Yeah, like just for them to put up a map of businesses or something over there. It's just so that.
yeah, I don't even know if they have anything like that right now, like a directory you're saying. Is that what you're saying? I don't know if they have much, but we should. I agree with that. Yeah, we'll get them to.
Just so they're aware of how many people are coming in. I feel like it's a very broad range of ages.
Right. And just like the playground, this could be something where people go to Dottie's on Tuesday or they go to Montague's on Wednesday. And when they show them something that they got a receipt or whatever, they get $1 off. So we can track that even if they're going to different businesses. I agree. I think those are all great things. Those are things we can work on with Caitlin. I think we do rent 2-hour time blocks. When not scheduled to open play or other recreation programs, each time block will cost $10 for residents. You good with that? So is that $10 per court or $10 for 2 hours? Because that's
I think it's 10 to 2 hours.
per court.
Yeah.
So it'd be $40 total for 2 hours.
To one of those residents, which are about 4 courts.
That's what they would end up doing. And I think we're okay with that to start, like we wouldn't police it. And the nice thing is our program does, like if you put your address in, because it's all based off your address, and it shows that you're outside of the village, then it'll charge you the non-resident fee, where Venmo wouldn't be able to do that.
Well, there's a liability. Somebody is reviewing their names on the hub, something is damaged, we're gonna
Right.
come back to them.
Right.
So, I mean, there is that piece of it
True.
too.
So you're good with, so $10, Fitchburg, 29 per court, right? That may be steep for them for some reason, I think, but let me ask them for sure.
Yeah, they need to check with.
Yeah, with what Fitchburg does, yeah.
Per court, it's like 16 people
I know.
paying for $80. I mean, that's like, what, $3-4 a person, $5 $5. It's not even $5 a person. Like if you have that many players, then you.
No, they'd only be paying $1 a person. Cause it's 10, 20, it'd be $40 for 2 hours if they rented for 2 hours. So it'd be, yeah, it'd be $40 and they'd be, well, if there's 20 of them, it'd be $2.
Yeah, I mean, that's why for sports is also.
I agree. Okay.
The more players you have, the more courts you use, the more spread out the cost there is.
Yeah.
Sure, cost.
You know, 50 cents for 2 hours of fun.
Yeah. So 20 non-residents. I think I'm good. We'll do the cancellation part as well. Yeah.
So,
I think I'm good with the rest of that too. I think the big thing I wanted to do was the money, like, you know, from all of you, like $10. I think that there may be some other things that we even add to it, but I think the days will be something too. Like we'll, obviously the groups that we've had, coming on Thursdays, I'll try and talk with Frank and be like, hey, is Thursdays the date that you guys are looking for here in the future, or is it a different date? And maybe that's what we change the, you know, where you can reserve and or when you can just drop in. But I should probably have you choose another day, like if it is they do. So, or do you want us to do that based on like their system itself of what people are reserving it, what days, what times? How do you want us to? Actually, I think if we don't outline it, we'll end up with groups coming from Madison not reserving it during open play and acting like it's their court. I think we'll run into that. So we should choose days and times that people can reserve the courts. Otherwise, it's just dropping. So meaning they can all do that, but if there are other people that want to come play, they have to allow them to come in and play with them. Does that make sense?
yeah.
Let's say we had 20 people from Madison come out here during our open play, right? And no one's using the courts. Fine, they get to use it for free. They're not being charged for it. But if you show up, they have to allow you to play with them. It's just a drop in with them, right? Like, or do we want it where if you,
But I don't think, sorry, what if they're using cards?
but if they don't have them reserved, it's drop, it's open play.
But if it's open play, like, if I see the courts are used. I'm not going to go use them.
Maybe there's a maximum play time of 2 hours in each court, regardless if it's open or reserved.
I just feel like that, how do you use that?
No.
How do you please any of this?
Right, so that's where I feel like,
You post it
Yeah.
and someone's gonna be like, what did you do here?
yeah,
Everybody's nagging when they show up.
I mean, I think about like the tennis courts, television,
Yeah, first come, first serve.
yeah. And you stay as long as you want.
But my thing is if like, how do we police the sense of if there's a group of 20 people in Madison coming out during open play, not reserving, they're not paying for the courts at all. Well, because if we get complaints that people are up there and they're not being allowed to play,
Yeah.
like, which will happen. I already had that happen, to be honest with you. Because the group reserved it, and I got a call from a resident that they were super mad. They didn't know how to play, never played before, but that this group wouldn't allow them to play, even though they didn't have a paddle either. And I said, well, you don't want to play with this group. Like, they're way too good. Like, it wouldn't be any fun.
Right.
And I knew her really well, but I was like, and I got her frustration, but it's just like anything else. You can reserve a ball diamond. Village taxpayers paid for it, but you can reserve it, you know, and use it for a private party or whatever else. So this is the same, but my thing is, how do we, and how will we police it, or how do you want me to police it?
Mike, I thought this was all reserved by the fact that they could do that little paddle system, which was kind of like the play-in thing. If it's, you know, if you don't have a reservation, you put your paddle up and then you get the next game or whatever.
No, so that's during open play. So that's what the paddles are. They're for open play. Yeah.
So you can like be.
So it's just like pool, right? When you put your quarter up, you're next. That's what these are. And that's part of the thing we'll do on the 3rd as well. We'll show people that.
But you're saying, well, wouldn't that solve the problem then?
Yeah, it could, but we're not receiving any revenue then either. You get what I'm saying? Like if a group of 20 people came in and they were just playing open, And then
Right, but like you said.
You're okay
if a
with that?
resident Comes in.
wants to
and
play, they just
put
put their
their
paddle.
in.
Yep,
I think that's fine, because then I think that group of 20
not gonna
is
come
going to
back.
just reserve drinks.
Right, we're like, it's a pain, all these residents are
Yeah.
interrupting our plan.
I will just show up.
Right. That's what you guys want me to do, right? You want me to just show up and like, mess them all up. All right. But yeah, you're right, Jed. We will have the paddle saddle deals on each fence line. Okay. So what days do you want reserved and what days, or do you want staff to come up with that once we get reservations? What do you think? And just ask them how they came up with those dates.
How it's going, how, like,
Okay.
there's a reasoning for their open play from noon to noon.
Well, I mean, there's tennis courts all over the county. Pickleball courts are still becoming popular, right? So there's still this like laser focus of, there's one in Cross Plains, there's courts here, so maybe.
But they're probably not fast.
They
So
are.
I think even by spring, I think that we'll see. It's a little easier. Yeah. Someone was just telling me about an area where they're putting out a bunch of people.
That's like all the Henry is now.
Madison has only one park though of official pickleball courts. The rest are tennis courts that they made into pickleball, and then they get into a fight over who's playing tennis and who's playing. And so there's a lot of, and that's what Frank had told me, like there's gonna be a lot of Madison and or outlying areas that are people that are going to be coming to play here. And it's like, great. Which is good. You want people to come into the community. That's part of it too.
I'll roll up there and use the ball police.
Yeah. In the bus. Yeah. Have a fenced in one with a card, so you have to get a membership. It's an option. Okay, I'll reach out to Fitchburg on their dates, or even talk to Frank if there's things that, I mean, we know that he's a resident that would reserve for a lot of people. I had she's not a resident anymore though, but I had a lady email me saying there were a bunch of 40-year-old moms that want to get together and play communities of the courts for Thursday from this time to this time. And I was like, well, I'll find out tonight, like, with you, but I'm gonna say yes for now, and like maybe that becomes part of their time. If that's a group that wants to use it, we pick that night as until we get things established and kind of rolling with it. Until we get some complaints, and then the complaints I'll bring back to you to say, do we need to make changes? Sound good? So I'm gonna yeah, so like the Cliffs, Anna, Mike Cliff, do you know them? They used to live on Lewis Street. Now they live out off of P, like out towards Wanakee, or out on the way to past the nuns. Yeah. And then the Fanoffs were talking about it this weekend as well. Remember them? The Rileys, the Wennings, like that kind of group. But that's another thing, like we're gonna try and do is establish, like, hey, we're looking, on Thursday nights from 5 to 7 will be drop-in moms night or something. We'll try and come up with some theme nights and see if it's, gets you to meet new people and do things as the summer kind of goes on, or maybe even fall. Maybe we'll try to do that right away. A wine and paddle night or something.
Yeah.
Kind of fun.
Well, I was thinking.
Can't have glass, but.
Well, no, but like, yeah, tying it with the business somehow.
Yeah.
Food truck or something.
Yeah. It would be pretty awesome. And having people that know how to play or can teach people how to play is important. So that's another component of it. So you have to get really good at it, Sarah. You had that in high school?
Yeah.
I did not. I did not have pickleball. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really fun. It's just that I don't remember the rules.
Yeah, I don't.
We used to play something with paddles and tennis courts. I remember it being called pickleball.
Oh.
It was like a ping pong paddle, but then you had to use a multi ball.
Yeah,
It was
we
like one of the
played
summer
it.
kid things we did.
We played it inside, or one of our unit was inside.
Okay, so tonight, I think ideally I at least get a motion from you for the price of the courts with reservations to only be 2 days out of the week for now to start. Is that okay? That's what Fitchburg does, it looks like.
Usually $10 resident, $20
Non-resident for whoever reserves the courts.
You want that all open?
Yeah, in motion, and then I'll put together the policy based on their stuff to at least send to the village board so that it's an actual policy. If you guys are good with that. I mean,
Okay, I'll make a motion that, reservations can be made a max of 2 days a week. And, and the fee would be $10 for a 2-hour period for a resident and $20 for a non-resident.
And now record.
Per court.
I'll second it. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed.
and what I'll do
Motion
is,
carried.
even though it'll be backwards, I'll put like their stuff all in the policy format. Go to the board for approval, bring it back to you so you can see it and approve it as well, like that way, and then we'll have it on file. And then if we need to make changes to it as we go, that's when we'll make changes to. My goal is, well, it'll be on the board agenda for Monday. So start tomorrow. Yeah. So I'll actually call CC tomorrow and see like what's worked, what hasn't. I'll try and get hold of Frank too and see if those days will work or the days that they're looking for. I'm thinking like the 2 to 4 o'clock. I mean, if we're just doing it for their group, I'm sure they could just come and play, like, cause there wouldn't be as many people there, but I know that he's all about economic side of this too, where they're giving back if they're able to use it exclusively. So I'll try and fit to his need at the time and should be good. All right, thank you all. That's good. Motion to adjourn.
Excuse me. I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All
Thanks,
opposed.
Jed.
Thanks. Sorry I couldn't be there.
Where are you